In this video, we'll be discussing how to best use the EdgeFinder to improve your trading results by adding more trading insights and powerful market data tools to better screen for opportunities in the markets. Let's jump in. Okay, so first of all, the EdgeFinder is a really powerful set of data and tools, and it's an algorithm and it's all this amazing stuff. But how can you at home use this tool to improve your understanding of the markets and ultimately to improve your trading results? At the end of the day, that is what we're here to do with a tool like this, is to set you up for success with way more tools that the average retail trader just dreams of having. Many hedge funds have all sorts of proprietary data and tools and indicators and analysis features that the average trader at home does not have. And our goal at A1 Trading is to build tools that we believe are very strong sets of resources to traders that want to add fundamental analysis and sentiment analysis to their toolbox, but lack the proper tools since most of them are locked up behind closed doors, proprietary stuff at big hedge funds. So that is the goal of the EdgeFinder, is to equip traders with more tools, more data to improve their trading results. So with that said, how do you actually trade with the EdgeFinder? What is the best way to employ this in your own trading to potentially improve your trading results? Well, the best way I know how to express this is by showing you guys a couple examples. And I'm not going to just show you examples of trades that have worked really well. I'm going to show you trades that I am looking at right now. So the first one on this list is that we can see currently the EdgeFinder is getting a +10 score on gold. Now, the way our scoring algorithm works is that the higher the score, the more bullish the asset, or the lower the score, the more bearish the asset. And so going back to our gold scenario, what we're seeing here is gold is getting a very bullish +10 score. So what does that mean when it comes to actually using the EdgeFinder within your day-to-day trading? Well, here is a simple step-by-step process. Step 1, we navigate to the top setups page, which scans sentiment, technical, and economic data for us to give us an idea how key metrics like the commitment of traders report, retail positioning, seasonal trends, momentum in markets, GDP stats, PMI data, retail sales, CPI, PPI, PCE, employment change, unemployment, and interest rates. What our software here is doing is it's monitoring all of these data sources. It's pulling them all in, and the algorithm is determining whether each one of these things has a positive or negative impact on our list of assets. We track currencies, commodities, indices, and even some crypto. And so our final score takes a look at all of this and it says, what are we looking at here? Are most of our indicators suggesting bullishness, suggesting bearishness, or is there a neutral overall reading, meaning some are bullish, some are bearish? And when we get a higher score, like we're getting on silver, Euro Aussie, Euro dollar, gold, CAD yen, this would suggest that our indicator set is suggesting more likely upside for these things than downside. Now, I want to pause right there. That does not guarantee that these things are going to move higher, and it does not guarantee that they're going to move higher in the next 5 seconds. It's simply telling us that our set of indicators here generally directionally is suggesting upside rather than downside. Again, that's not a guarantee. Nothing is a guarantee. And I want to make that clear that this is not some sort of magic, indicator that is going to make you a bajillionaire. It's rather a set of tools that have scanned the markets across a set of data points, helping us to identify the overall consensus based on this select list. So now that we've done step 1, consulting the EdgeFinder's top setups list, what we can do now is use our own trading approach to look for those entries. So I'll share with you an example on this gold chart that I just got done discussing. So we know that the EdgeFinder is giving us a positive reading on the price action of gold. I've pulled up the daily chart, and what we can see here is that we've had this really strong overall trend to the upside in recent times. With the upward trend and the set of indicators that we just got done discussing mostly pointing towards gold bullishness at this time, I do like the idea of potentially looking for a long trading setup in accordance with my own trading entries. So for example, I've marked up my chart here and you can see I've got a level of support on the chart, this 3,300 level and this upward trend line. So for example, if we were to see price move lower down to this 3,300 level, this might qualify for my own trading as an entry to potentially look to get long. Now again, there are many different traders around the world using the EdgeFinder. Some traders trade the 4-hour, the 1-hour, the 15-minute chart. Some traders are reversal traders, some are breakout traders, some are pullback traders like myself. So who is the EdgeFinder built for? The answer is all of them. Essentially, the EdgeFinder is a directional bias tool. It is not necessarily a down to the specific time frame tool, which brings me to the second common question, which we always get, which is what time frame is the EdgeFinder actually designed for when it comes to trading? And like I just got done kind of highlighting, the idea of the EdgeFinder is not a time-sensitive entry and exit tool. It is rather a general direction of the wind, if you will, right? If you think about, for example, a sailor on the ocean who's checking the direction of the wind could change at any moment. But for the most part, he's generally, or she is generally looking for the direction of the wind in which to sail in and keeping an open eye for when that is changing. So long story short, the EdgeFinder can be used on a long list of different time frames. For example, a 4-hour chart trader could still use a bullish directional bias on gold if they see a setup in accordance with their trading plan. Let's say, for example, you're looking at the 15-minute time frame and you say, well, gold is getting a bullish reading on the EdgeFinder, but the chart doesn't look very good at this time. In fact, let's just say we see it and we say, hey, this is actually moving lower. We've got a trend to the downside, right? Or however your particular trading style approach works. Let's say you're using trend lines, or let's say, for example, you are sitting here and you say, well, actually, it seems to be respecting sellers more so, right? In this case, is the EdgeFinder just useless to you? No. The answer in this case would be, while the technicals that you are looking at, your entry pattern style, whatever you do, may not currently agree with the EdgeFinder, you could potentially keep a close eye out for when that might change. So for example, let's say that we've identified that there's some levels of resistance here, and perhaps in this case, if we get a reversal breaking out to the upside, maybe in that case, there's a better chance that you'd like that trade because you have EdgeFinder confirmation of a potential reversal forming. So again, the EdgeFinder's score output or top setups list is not a time-sensitive signal in which to go long or short. It is simply a direction set based on the key metrics that we just got done discussing. This can be used by the 1-hour chart traders, the 15-minute chart traders, the 1-minute chart traders, the daily chart traders. It is simply a directional bias, not a timing vehicle. And this is something we always have to reiterate. The EdgeFinder is not going to tell you exactly when to buy or sell. It's going to tell you, generally speaking, based on the set of indicators that it uses, which direction it thinks is the path of least resistance. Now, again, even if the EdgeFinder thinks that gold may be headed up overall, right, based on its set of indicators, that does not mean that in the meantime, we couldn't get, this trend continuing to move lower, but then maybe we're going to pay closer attention once we do get that breakout. If there's still that EdgeFinder confirmation, that could be a really strong confluence between our own technical approach and the EdgeFinder's fundamental and sentiment view. The EdgeFinder really is not super focused on technical analysis, and I think it's better that way. Most traders focus more on technicals on their own charting, and they get that, they've built a strategy, whereas the EdgeFinder accomplishes the bigger problem for many retail traders, which is understanding and employing data to help them spot fundamental and sentiment trends in the market. So this brings me to another common question we get, which is, well, then how accurate is the EdgeFinder? Which is another way of asking the same question. What time frame should I be using this trade? Because the EdgeFinder is not a trading system. So when people ask us how accurate is the tool, I know it can be a little frustrating. You might be saying, well, what's the success rate of just getting a long gold just because I see it on here? But that is not really how we've designed the tool to function. What this tool is ultimately designed to do is to be a confluence tool to traders who maybe already have a technical approach that's working okay for them or even decently well, but they want to layer on top of that fundamental analysis and understanding economic data to help them better understand which direction the market may likely continue to trend in. So while people often ask us, what's the accuracy of the EdgeFinder, we have to give them that answer, which is it's not a trading system, so it's impossible to gauge what the quote unquote accuracy of that tool is. However, here are a couple things that can be really useful to understanding how the EdgeFinder historically has performed. So first and foremost, a quick way to understand that the EdgeFinder does have practical use case in real trading environments is a live broker login that I've done on my YouTube channel, which I'll link in the top right hand of the screen right now. Essentially, I've logged in and showed 5 years of trading performance, mostly showcasing how I've used the EdgeFinder along the way to find the trading setups that I've done over time. I've been able to generate over 200% returns in the live market environment, beating the S&P 500's passive income by a substantial amount. Like I said, you can watch the full video if you'd like to take a closer look at my trading results, which are heavily assisted by the EdgeFinder. And another tool that we've focused on quite a bit here at A1 Trading when building the EdgeFinder is the EdgeFinder Score indicator. So while the EdgeFinder is not necessarily a timing tool, we still have tracked over time the scores that the EdgeFinder has produced on our various assets and watched how those have actually sort of predicted the general direction in the coming days, weeks, and months. So for example, in this case, we're taking a look at gold. And remember that the overall bullish bias on the EdgeFinder is going to be a +5 or a -5 for bearish, right? So the first time in this case that we got a bullish reading was around late May on the EdgeFinder for gold here. And you can see that for the most part, we've had some bullish readings, which have been mostly the correct call for gold. But we can actually sort this and go way back further. Let's go back, in fact, to the beginning of 2025 until modern day here, which I'm recording this around June 18th, 2025 at market close. So what you're seeing here now is the overall score for the EdgeFinder in the year of 2025 for gold. And what you can see is that for the most part, gold has been a very bullish leaning indication on the EdgeFinder for most of 2025. In fact, it has been a very good indicator in terms of suggesting that gold had more upside, and this year it has certainly delivered. We can also take a look at the NASDAQ, for example, and see that pretty much this also was a little bit early to the bullishness. You can see it got bullish, and then there was some upside, and the market then kind of went sideways. The EdgeFinder became neutral at that point, missing completely actually the sell-off that we saw in March, and most of what we saw in going into April. Now, the earliest vision of long side bullishness was right around here. Now, of course, we did have a little bit more drawdown and heat in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, etc. But then from there, we essentially got a remarkable bullish signal on the EdgeFinder that drove higher up until currently, where there's been a massive recovery in the markets that the EdgeFinder was very early in calling. And here is a look at another very popular currency pair. It's euro dollar, and you can see for the most part, while this was sort of a mixed response here, we got mostly a neutral or a bearish reading and then kind of sideways price action. We did see it call very nicely this upswing that we've seen most of 2025 here. And it, for the most part, has been on the correct side of the US dollar downside movement we've seen in 2025. And here's another currency pair. If we take a look at the dollar Canadian dollar, for the most part, it was bullish in the very early portions of the year, and then really got bearish right around this March sell-off that has really persisted since then. We did get a neutral reading for a little bit here, but for the most part has been on the correct side of the bearish trend that we've seen in the dollar CAD this year. Here's a look at Bitcoin, where it predicted that we would get some more upside. In this case, it was wrong. We saw some downside, did get bearish at a certain point here, which sort of redeemed itself a little bit. Then we got bullish around the lows here and got more bullish signals. So this actually was an incredible bullish call around the 80,000 level from the EdgeFinder, which has mostly been correct. And here's a look at oil, which I think is possibly one of the more impressive ones in recent times. It got very bearish early in April, which we saw some downside move. Then we went neutral. Then we got bullish around late May, which ultimately ended up being a very strong signal that preceded the big run up we've seen so far this year. If you'd still like to see the full list of features that the EdgeFinder offers before making a purchase, we totally get that. I would recommend that you head over to our website, a1trading.com, and navigate to the EdgeFinder tab here. Click tutorials and you can go through the full list of how all of our tools and data functions on the left here, and you can browse through all the different sorts of videos and things that we've done. We do want to make sure that if you choose to purchase our tool, you know what it is, you know what it is not. It's not some sort of holy grail, but it is a powerful tool and set of data that can help traders to better improve their understanding and insights of the market before placing trades. It's been a monumental game-changing tool that I've built on the back of basically my own trading experience, and has been a huge beneficial tool to my own trading results. If you're interested in getting more information about the EdgeFinder, you can use the links in the description down below, and if you'd like to purchase the tool, you can also find information on how to do that down below in the description. Thank you for watching.